Okay. So today is November 1st, and that means it is the official start of NaNoWriMo. So for those of you who don't know, November is National Novel Writing Month, or NaNoWriMo. And the idea is to write 50,000 words of a novel in the month of November. As somebody who's a professional writer, that's my job. I spend all day writing. It is still a daunting task to write that much in a month. I don't normally write that much in a month. At least I don't think I do. Maybe I do, but on like really different projects. But spending that much time on one project is quite daunting. So I thought that I would do a vlog every week of November, cataloging, doing NaNoWriMo this week, or this whole month. So I thought I would start by explaining a little bit about what I'm doing this month in a more general sense, and also what I'm going to be writing this month. I am normally a nonfiction writer. If you've been around on this channel before, you'll know that a lot of my focus is on nonfiction, education-based, it's anthropological research, it's a lot of that kind of stuff. I enjoy writing nonfiction, and in fact, it's a huge part of everything, and I feel really passionate about it. I have tried doing NaNoWriMo with nonfiction before, but I find it really difficult, and it's difficult for a lot of reasons. Partly, NaNoWriMo is just not built for nonfiction writing. There's a lot of differences between fiction and nonfiction writing. I have written both, so I am very knowledgeable of these differences. There are certain things that are way more difficult to do in nonfiction writing than in fiction, and vice versa. There's things that are a lot more complicated in fiction than in nonfiction. The thing with word count is that I think it's something that is challenging in both contexts. However, the way that it's challenging for fiction is simply in an endurance, in time and energy. With nonfiction, the difficulty is in figuring out your actual words. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's when I'm writing nonfiction anyway, and different nonfiction is different, but for my nonfiction, every word is researched. Every word is backed up. Every word has a lot of energy and time and research behind it. And that means that writing 1,000 words in nonfiction is about the same amount of energy as writing about 2,000 to 3,000 words in fiction, just from my experience, that's kind of the energy levels. And so writing 50,000 words in nonfiction is it's just draining, and there's not resources for it. NaNoWriMo is a nonprofit organization for this, and so they have a lot of resources, they have a lot of help, and most of it is geared towards fiction writing, which I get. Most people are doing fiction writing. Most people are doing it for that particular element, and it is a novel writing month, so that's going to kind of put emphasis on that fiction. But for me as a nonfiction writer, I found it really difficult to get into it. Last year was the first year that I did NaNoWriMo as a fiction project, and I found it a lot better. However, I was writing the cosplay book at the same time, so I didn't devote the cosplay project as a NaNoWriMo project. I was writing 2 books in November last year, and that was not smart. That was not a smart move. So we're not doing that again this month. For one, I'm not writing a nonfiction book this month, so that's helpful. I am doing research for one. I am laying the groundwork for a couple, but I'm not actually writing it yet, which means that I can dedicate my whole time to fiction. So let's talk about the fiction book that I'm writing. Okay, so my fiction book is an urban fantasy cozy crime, and I am calling it Project Caramel Latte for now. Now, I know that a lot of fiction writers have their kind of like weird project titles, and I always thought they were really cringy, but I think that it's really important to have just kind of a general project title. For one, Depending on how this project goes for this month, I may or may not consider publishing this. And if it is going to be published, I want to really limit the amount of information that I'm giving out because A, I don't want to spoil anything, but B, I also don't know what I'm writing now that is going to be changed in later edits and editions and things like that, and kind of vocalizing stuff that might not make it in the final is going to be kind of complicated, or that I might change. So I'm just trying to be a little bit loose with it. And I'm also really bad with titles. It's one of the things that I really love about nonfiction writing is that the titles tend to be pretty direct. They're not very creative. I mean, some of them can be, but you know, I'm writing a cosplay book about identity. So it's called Cosplay and the Dressing of Identity. Like, it's really straightforward. You know what it is when you're looking at it. Like, I can do those. If you want to get super fancy, you get like a really good quote from one of your interviews and you throw that up as the title. You know, that's always really good. And again, it's not your own words. You've like picked something that someone else said. Yeah, I'm not very good with titles, and I was really agonizing over a title because obviously I have to like name everything of all of my notes and all of my files and all of that kind of stuff. I have to label it with something. So labeling it with Project Caramel Latte has been a really nice way to just put that to the side and worry about it later. I'm not like figuring out a title while I haven't even written the book yet. Like that's a future Vivian problem. The goal for this month is to have the draft of the book completely finished by the end of November. If I find that I've written the 50,000 words and I still have more to go, I am giving myself until the 15th of December, which, to be fair, the 15th of December is only like a week or two post NaNoWriMo. So basically it would just be me quickly finishing it up rather than anything else. So that's the goal. And because that's the goal, and my word count goal or idea of what I probably will be hitting is more than 50,000 words, I decided to already start writing. So I have been really slowly working on this project. September was when I started getting actually pretty serious about it. That's when I started rewriting some of my old chapters and really coming at things with a new perspective. So really September 7th was my first day of really writing this. My current full word count for Project Caramel Latte is 24,510 words. So the goal for the end of NaNoWriMo would be that my word count will be at 74,510 words. I'm hoping for my project to be around 80 to 100,000, so somewhere in that ballpark. So that means that I'm probably going to either try to go over the 50,000 or spend that last bit of December trying to finish it up. The other thing is that I'm doing for this month is as I said before, I tried doing NaNoWriMo last year, writing a fiction book and writing my nonfiction at the same time. I didn't stop what I was doing for incidental mythology, for my blogs, for my my everything. My writing of the book, my research, I didn't stop it. I was doing my normal monthly tasks and stuff like that I needed to do for my normal writing job, and doing NaNoWriMo on top of it. And I found it really, really draining. I was basically dead for December and January, because obviously December is not exactly the least stressful time either. So I didn't really feel like I was able to recoup until quite far into the next year, which did set me back a bit when it came to the beginning of the year, because I didn't have the energy to do the things that I needed to be doing. So what I have done from September and October is I've actually done everything that I need to do for the end of the year. So every bit of content that I have to be putting out, aside from these vlogs, for November and December are all done. I don't have to do them. The 2 weeks in December that I have to set up January, but that's it. Everything else is finished. And so it was really hectic getting to this point of taking the last couple of days off, knowing that I'm going to be going into NaNoWriMo. But that means that I can basically spend November pretending that I am a full-time fiction writer and I can just indulge in my creative endeavors and not really worry about things. And I know that this is kind of like a pseudo fantasy, like that's not really how it is, but it is what I'm pretending for the time being. So it means that my day is going to be structured fully dedicated to writing this book. When I am not writing, I am going to be reading, and I'm going to be reading fiction. I do have a little bit of reading of nonfiction that I'm doing. I'm doing some preliminary research for a new long-term research project, which I will announce on this channel in January. But for now, I'm kind of figuring out exactly the angle that I want to take. So I'm doing a little bit of that, but it's just reading and note-taking, so it's nothing too strenuous, and it's not based on writing. So I am doing a little bit of that. So I am lying about being fully fiction. But I'm doing creative stuff. So any kind of crafting, any kind of reading of fiction, writing, that's what I'm going to be doing during the work days for the entirety of November. And I'm going to try to lean it into the weekends as well, because obviously I do have to write for the weekends. I'm not taking those days off. This is going to be an every single day thing. I'm going to try to really lean into being a writer in this month, which sounds really weird because I am a writer, but I'm really leaning into it. I'm really leaning into it this month, and particularly a fiction writer mindset. So I'm not going to be working on any of my other nonfiction projects other than an occasional research. But again, I'm not going to be stressing about it, and I'm not going to even put it on to-do lists or anything. I think my goal for every day is going to be 1,700 words. So that's what we're doing. Okay, so now that the entry is out of the way, these videos, real quick. I'm planning on putting out vlogs every Friday of November, recapping the week. So this one will only be the first little bit of days, but I am talking to you for ages about the project and what I'm doing. So that's going to be this first one. But every Friday you'll see what I've been doing for the previous week for NaNoWriMo. So yeah. All right, so we need to put away all of this filming stuff and, keep a camera out because we need to write. So let's write. I gotta go check on those roasted pumpkin seeds. Maybe we'll nibble on a little bit of it while we write. But I've got coffee. I've got my computer. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to write. So let's do it. 2, 3. Oh, coffee. I forgot my coffee. I need coffee. That is cold coffee. So, it's November 2nd. So, it's only been 2 days. I knew that the first vlog was only going to be 2 days worth because November started on a Wednesday, and that's how time works. So I think I might be done at least with the writing bit of today. I've got a couple of admin-y things that I have to do, and I have to edit the video that you are currently watching. I did manage to do enough words today. It wasn't my goal, but it's the goal of NaNoWriMo. So I might do a bit more this evening. I haven't decided. I've been ill the last few days. Halloween was my first day of like normality, and I think because I then kind of jumped straight into Nano, like my body hasn't caught up. And I'll say that that's why I'm tired, and not because I woke up at 5 a.m. unable to think about anything but the book I was reading, and then I went and read it at 5:30 in the morning. I'll say that I'm tired because of the illness and not because of that. Okay. But despite that, I did manage to get some writing done. So like I said, this is going to be a bit of a shorter thing. There's not going to be as much change for my word count because, not a lot of time has passed, but I can give you updates. So for this week, so November 1st and November 2nd, I wrote a total of 3,349 words, which means that I'm just about on track with NaNoWriMo, which says that by today I should have 3,333 words done, which I have just a teensy bit more than that. I was hoping to write more today so that way I could have the wiggle room to take a day off later in the month. I'd rather kind of start really strong in the beginning of the month, so when I waver towards the end, it's not gonna hurt me. However, there's going to be a write-in that I'm gonna go to here in Salisbury on Saturday with a couple of other people doing Nano, and I'm gonna try to get a lot of writing done that day and get ahead then. Last year I did kind of the most of my writing when I was around other people, so I'm hoping that that's going to be the case here, but I'm not positive, so we'll see. But anyway, so I wrote 3,349 words, which means that the grand total of my manuscript is now at 27,855 words. So, I guess that's something to be proud of. It's coming together slowly. I'm kind of hitting the point with it, which I do with a lot of my books, even my nonfiction, when I get to a certain point in the writing process that I start to hate everything that I'm making. And I'm at that point with this, and while I'm in the midst of writing, I'll feel relatively okay about it, but then as soon as I'm done, I look at it and I go, what am I doing? Is this any good? This doesn't feel like it's any good. But I'm trying to have the mentality that I do with my nonfiction, which is that you can't edit an empty page. And what I'm planning on doing is, once I have the rough draft of the text done, I'm going to do a huge structural edit. I call it a structural edit because I'm not focused on little minute word changes. I am focused on the big picture of the story. So does the dialogue sound good? Do I have to add a scene to make something make more sense? Do I need to subtract a scene to make things make more sense? Do I need to move around scenes? Big changes like that. Making sure that my character development is present. Making sure that all of those things are there. It's a cozy crime, as I mentioned, so making sure that the structure of the crime part of the novel makes sense. That nothing's too obvious, that nothing's too not obvious. All of those little things. That's all going to be in the structural edit. And fine-tuning that kind of stuff is a lot easier to do when I have something to work with, something that I can look at and say, this needs changing, or this is fine, which I can't do when it's not written. So I'm trying to have that mindset when I'm writing of I just need to get words on a page, and maybe when I'm done it won't seem as bad as it does right now. So that's kind of where I'm at the moment with the writing. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. I'm at 27,855 words. I'm feeling cautiously okay, but not positive. Yeah. So anyway, if you are enjoying this and want to see where the rest of NaNoWriMo takes me, you can subscribe and check out the next video, which will come out in approximately a week from today. I'm putting them out every single Friday of November. I'm looking forward to Nano. As I said, I'm kind of cautiously optimistic. I'm nervously happy. No, I'm nervously okay. I don't know if I would say I'm happy with it at the moment, but that's just being a writer, I think. When I was first starting this draft, I was really, really happy with it. I think that's just kind of what happens with writing. It's what happens with my nonfiction as well, is I always hit a point in the middle of writing where I look at it and I go, what am I doing with my life? How am I a writer? All of this sucks. That's kind of where I'm at right now. That's the first 2 days of NaNoWriMo. And I will see you next week with the next full week of NaNoWriMo. Bye!